Hey. Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Frankie Slauson here. What's going on? We'll wait to let some people come in here. All right, so let's give our guest a call. Do.
Frankie.
Hey, what's up, man? Michael Strider.
How are you?
Good.
How you doing?
Oh, I'm doing very, very well. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing great. It's been a while. I haven't spoken to you in a while.
Yeah, I think the last time you were on was probably maybe November or probably, I think December, probably, of last year.
Maybe so. I can't remember. It's always a pleasure, though.
Yeah.
All these years.
Have you done so many interviews where it's like it's hard to keep track? It's so much stuff you got to do.
Yeah, it's like, who am I talking to now? I can't remember.
Well, you and I have a history. So I mean, it's always a good history, and it's
Yeah, it's a good history.
Doesn't matter if it's 10 years, go by, or 5 years, or a few months, or whatever. It's just always nice to know that you are one of the OGs of the Frankie Slauson show, anyway.
That's awesome. That's a new age term there, OGs. I'm like, hold on a second, what is that? Oh, okay, yeah, you're right. It's I guess the first time I'm trying to think of when the first time that we talked. It's been, oh God, it's been more than 10 years, right?
Oh yeah, it's been well, it'll be probably, I think, with the anniversary, with today being 12 years since I did my very first interview. I think
years.
I think it was maybe a few months later when I met you. It was like either before or after the interview I did with Jimmy Boogie Woogie Man Valiant back in the day. So it's been a long time. Okay. A long time.
Wow.
And this is your fourth time being on the show. So I mean, and what's kind of nice about this time is you actually got a hold of me. You actually wanted to be on the show. I never got a hold of you. You got a hold of me. That rarely ever happens.
That's a cool thing, though, right?
Yeah.
Well, I had something to talk about, so that's why I was like, okay, so let's do a show. I've got some cool stuff. So we're doing an auction to raise money for our book for the Life After project. So you're the first person I thought about.
Well, I appreciate that. I know we were trying to get together and everything over the course of the weekend, and I started a new job, so that job requires me to. I mean, it's right in town. I don't have to drive as far anymore, but it's still right. I still gotta show up when they need me and all that. So it's like gotta do what I gotta do.
The shit they pull, That's
absolutely.
The way that the way jobs are, I guess.
Well, here in South Dakota, they're. I'm sure. In fact, I would definitely agree that they're hard everywhere. But here in South Dakota, it seems like the ones you really want to get, are really hard to get sometimes. So I don't know.
Yeah, it's like they say, if anything good is worth working for. So I've got a day job myself, a real job, quote unquote, if you want to call it that, with Homeland Security. So you gotta, we all have to answer to somebody, I guess.
Oh, absolutely. Whether we want to or we don't. I mean, unless most of us have money, but a lot of us don't have money. We have to earn our money. So.
Amen, brother.
Well, I appreciate having you on. I mean, and I was thinking over the course, because it's been I took a little bit of a break doing some interviews because I did this blues show and all that, and I did a whole lot of stuff, and I don't know what you've been keeping track of or whatever. But anyway, so I wanted to take a little bit of a break, and then once you got a hold of me, because we got rally time coming up pretty soon, and that's going to be kind of a big thing. We got the Sturgis rally, coming up here in another couple weeks here, and a lot of talented entertainment coming to the area to make Black Hills great again, so to speak, if we're going to use those terms like Donald Trump anymore.
I've never been there for Sturgis. I've always thought about going and always wanted to. maybe one of these days I'll have to make it out there.
And see, that kind of surprises me because you've been all over, and I've been following you ever since the day I first met you, and even to this day,
Right.
it seems like you've just been one place to another, and there are just still a lot of. I'm sure there's a lot of places that you probably haven't been to that you would like to go to. It just
Yeah, there definitely is.
But Sturgis
is one of them.
Yeah, that definitely has to be a top, maybe not number one place, but at least top 10 or top 50 or something. I don't know. I mean, as a life of photographer, I mean, what are some of the most we probably talked about this before, but what are some of the most coolest and funnest places that you got to shoot at, so to speak?
Oh God, let's see. One of my most fun experiences was with one of my good friends. His name is Lee McGinnis. He's on the Trailer Park, the TV show, The Trailer Park Boys.
Oh yeah.
So I did a shoot with in Canada with those guys. I was on set with them for season 10, which was just it's really amazing. I did a photo shoot with John Dunsworth, who recently passed away, unfortunately, but he was Mr. Leahy on the show, and he's going to be in my book, The Life After Project. But being on set with those guys was just really, truly amazing. But I've been very fortunate to be able to do, photos with lots of incredible people, lots of very interesting people.
Yeah.
Lots of really nice places. I mean, I really love doing like night photography and, nature photography, stuff like that. Sometimes I think I enjoy that more than I enjoy shooting supermodels, or Playboy cover girls, whatever the deal is. I haven't shot a Playmate in several years, but I really like, just shooting in nature and shooting maybe architecture, stuff like that. It's very interesting to me.
So what you're telling me is you'd rather shoot or take a picture of a squirrel eating nuts than a nicer looking bikini model.
Awesome. Well, that's a cool way to put it. Right?
Yeah. Well, why not?
I mean, it depends. Am I getting paid by the bikini model, or am I getting paid by the squirrel?
Sometimes it's a little bit of both. I don't know.
Depends. Yeah, it depends. I mean, maybe I'm getting paid by National Geographic or something like that to photograph squirrels. So
eating nuts.
That's the case, the bikini model has to go.
That's right. It's important. It's national.
They can't always be at the front of the line, Frankie.
You gotta say it's National Squirrel Month somewhere. I'm sure. So.
You damn right, brother. If somebody pays me to shoot some squirrels, I'm, to photograph. Say that in this politically correct world.
That's right.
To photograph some squirrels, then I'm going to be photographing some squirrels. So, but yeah, no. I mean, I've been very, very fortunate. I've got to shoot, a lot of, very beautiful people, females and males, and I mean, it's awesome. I really love that. I wish I could do that full time, but everybody's a photographer these days,
Now,
everybody that has an iPhone is a photographer.
Now, let me ask.
It's hard to do it for a living.
Let me ask you this question, and this is just to be humorous or whatever. You shot a lot of beautiful people. Yeah. You taken pictures of a lot of beautiful people. Have you ever taken a picture of an ugly person? You don't have to go into that. That's just a random. That's just to be humorous or whatever.
Simmons is really that pretty. So.
I don't know. I'm just being kind of corny just because. Oh yeah. Because that's the thing. It's like nowadays, it's funny why you don't really see. I think they're trying to make it more nowadays where they just will post anybody, on a magazine or a poster or whatever. But it's like, I always kind of wonder why. And maybe I'm answering my own question, but I always kind of wonder why beautiful people sell the product more than ugly people, so to speak. And I don't mean to be like, weird about it. It's just, You never see like a
No,
500.
it is what it is.
You never
It's
see like
just what it is.
a fat person modeling for JCPenney on the cover or something like that. You know, you never
And
see
you
that.
know what? I think you're a country music fan. You never see, especially in country music. You remember when people like Hank Williams Jr. and George Strait
Oh yeah.
and people like that were on top of the world. These days, you're not going to see anybody like that. Everybody that you see in country music they're basically supermodels. I mean, they're all, as far as visually speaking, they're perfect.
Sure.
And they're manufactured, and it's not like it used to be. It really, I don't even listen to it anymore. As far as that kind of music, it's hard to find music that I really like, at all these days. It's new.
Well,
it's a different world. We're living in a different world than we were when you and I first talked.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. There is one band out there that I would recommend, and maybe you have heard of these guys because you live in Hollywood and all that stuff. I'm sure there's so many different trends that people like to follow and all that. If you want a good band, a good rock and roll band, because I'm glad that rock and roll is still around, because I too am a rock and roller, as you've known. And there's a band called Greta Van Fleet. Have you ever heard of those guys at all?
I actually have heard of them, but I haven't heard them.
Okay.
But I have heard of them. Yes. I'll check them out if you think they're really cool.
Oh yeah, they're kids. They're literally kids, from Michigan that sound exactly almost like Led Zeppelin. So if you love Led Zeppelin, well, there you go. And they got some original.
I definitely do love Led Zeppelin. I actually, crazy. One of my an ex-girlfriend from a few years ago was the lead singer in a band called Lez Zeppelin, Lez Zeppelin. And man, were they ever incredible! And I'm not just saying that because she was my girlfriend. I mean, it was really an amazing band. I mean, they sounded, in a lot of ways, they sounded better than Led Zeppelin did, especially live.
Huh.
You should Google them or YouTube them or whatever.
Sure.
Her name was Shannon Conley. I think there's a new singer now, but she's Shannon is singing on Broadway and stuff like that. But man, God, they were so awesome.
Oh, that's cool. That is very, very, very cool. Yeah, I mean, I think overall, you definitely have a very interesting life, and I know, and we've talked before about how sometimes life, isn't that interesting because of stuff that a photographer has to deal with, and most of the interviews that I remember that we pretty much have covered that, so we don't have to cover that again this time. But I want people.
There's different people listening, so I mean, we can talk about anything you want to, bro.
Okay,
it's all good. Anything you want to talk about.
I want people to understand, because I've interviewed a couple of photographers, but not a whole lot, but they kind of all tell me the same. While
right.
There are good moments being a photographer, but there are also some bad moments too that you have to deal with. And I remember you telling me a story about what you've been spit on, you've been kicked at, or punched, or you've had some experiences. And if you want to share a story about a couple experiences, go right ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I've had a lot of great times, and I've had really scary times and really like nightmares. And I mean, I've had horrible times and times when I thought that I could possibly have been killed, with huge crowds that were, out of control, like at RFK Stadium or something like that with, 70,000 people or whatever the deal is. But the crazy thing about social media is that people's perception of what is reality, and I guess we're all guilty of this. When you look at my social media, I mean, you think that, oh God, this guy's got the life of a rock star, and this is incredible. And I mean, I get that all the time. Years ago, I was one of my girlfriends was a supermodel, and this was years ago, and I'll never forget. A guy came up to me one time and said, "Hey, man, your girlfriend's a supermodel?" I said, "Yes, she is." and he said, "Wow, you should never have a bad day." And I was like, "Are you serious?" And he said, "Yeah, man. God, you should be happy all the time." And I'm like, "Dude, please, you watch too much TV, man. That's not reality." And everybody is human, and everybody has problems and issues. We all have our demons and stuff like that. And, I mean, it's just life. But outside looking in, people think much differently of it. And I do have a great life. I have to admit that. But it's never as good as it looks on social media. You know what I mean?
Sure.
I mean, I have, like I said, I work. I have a day job. I work for Homeland Security, and you got to pay the rent, and it's just a everyday life, and that's it. But I mean, I've had a lot of great times with photography. I've met a lot of really amazing people and interesting people and bad people, in the same time, very bad people sometimes. And, but I love it. Everything that's happened, good and bad, I really love it. I've always, been drawn to it, and it's a passion.
Oh, that's cool.
That's why I do it.
That's very cool. And there's a guy who that I definitely, and I have asked you a few times about getting him on the show, and hopefully one day it'll happen. Michael Pare. I mean, I've been a big fan of that guy forever, and I'm, the fact that guy is not like, I mean, he should be as popular as Bruce Willis because of all the stuff that he's done in the film industry. But yet, a lot of people don't even know he even exists. They all only just if they know him, they only talk about any of the cruisers. They don't talk about Moon 44 or Gargoyles or all these things that he's done in the indie film world. And yet, he should be a bigger star than he is.
Well, you know what I think? I've known him for several years, and you know why I think that he is not like Bruce Willis and people like that, is because he has never, I don't think he's changed who he is for the sake of Hollywood and being in the spotlight and stuff like that. This guy is like, he is the least Hollywood person, that I have ever met and known in my entire life. I mean, he's so down to earth and genuine, and, he doesn't play that whole Hollywood game, and I think that's, if you're going to get to the top and you're going to get to be very, very famous, you're going to have to, to play that game and kiss ass and all kinds of stuff. And he doesn't do that. So I think that's probably got a lot to do with it. Well, he's very, very talented.
Oh yeah. Well, see, that's the thing about it. That's why a person like him shouldn't have to go through those lengths to get to be as successful as he's been, because he right. I mean, for those of you who don't know who I'm talking about, there's an actor out there who's been around for the last 30 or over 30 years doing more or less a lot of more independent films and all that stuff, lately anyway. But if you remember Eddie and the Cruisers, and a lot of people in this room probably do remember Eddie and the Cruisers, especially the first one. I am more of a fan of the second one because I love sequels, especially if they're good. Now, some aren't as good, but, for some reason, the second one appealed more to me than the first one. Just because, the music was better, the story was better, and just the way it was, just everything was told on a fictional character, that wasn't even real. But yet, Michael Pare, I tell you, the legendary, and I will call him a living legend, no matter if he's Hollywood famous or whatever. This guy should be more iconic, and yet in today's world, because he's an older man now, he's up there in age, he's, he's done a lot of things in the world, and I watch a lot of films, even stuff that nobody even talks about, like Blood Rain and everything like that. But yet this guy, a lot of people still don't know, and it's kind of sad because I would love to see more, and I don't know how you feel about it, but being for how I feel, being a pop culture guy and everything, there's a lot of people out there in this world who deserve more credit than they get, and it's sad. Like,
of course.
Like there's a guy named Joe Bonamassa who everybody knows in the blues world, and yet it's like people know about him, but you don't hear about him at all. You don't hear about him like, oh, latest new album. I mean, you will from his media company and all that stuff, and the stuff that gets passed, because he's definitely had lots of success and still to this day, but you don't hear about him as much. You hear more about the Rolling Stones or the Beatles or whatever than you do a guy like Joe Bonamassa. And to me, I don't mind the Stones, I don't mind Beatles and all that stuff, but I want to hear about I want to hear more about guys like Joe Bonamassa than I do Justin Bieber or Suge Knight or whatever these guys are. So that's a personal opinion.
A lot of people don't. Yeah, they don't get a lot of attention like they should. A lot of them should. Bonamassa and people like that. I'm doing a photo shoot soon with Steve Lukather and his son Trevor Lukather. Anyway, we got that coming up too. But a lot of the people, especially musicians that are musicians, they don't get the credit that they should. And Lukather and Vaccaro and those guys from Toto, I mean, they're responsible for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of our favorite albums that people don't even know that it was them that was playing the music, like Thriller. Those guys are the ones that were playing the music on Thriller for Michael Jackson, but yet they don't get credit for it. They don't get acknowledged or anything like that. They get a paycheck and they, that's it.
Yeah.
Eddie Van Halen was on he did the guitar solo for Beat It, which was awesome, but those guys don't get credit. So
sure,
it's the world that we live in. I think it goes to people like Bieber
and but I say this. I say the same for you too, though. I say the same for you because of all the stuff that you've done. No matter if it's independently or whatever, you should be up there with like guys like Neil Preston. I mean, Neil Preston I had on the show last year. And that guy is, legendary. Everybody knows about him. But, I mean,
right.
I hope one day that you get the credit that you deserve, too, because you have done so much. Even prior to meeting me, even prior to 2006, 12 years ago or whatever, you've done so much, over the course of time that I'm so glad that you're working on a book, and I'm so glad that you get a chance to get more exposure because you deserve it, my friend. You you deserve all the exposure that you can get, and because you're not a kiss-ass guy, you're very authentic, and you've done so much, but yet, why don't we hear about Michael Strider in the news, Why don't we hear about any conspiracies with Michael Strider or whatever?
Well, that's very nice of you to say, Frankie. Yeah. I appreciate it. It's a work in progress, and I keep going and doing what I can do, and especially with the charity and trying to help other people. The one thing that I thought when I first started this was that celebrities were going to fall out of the woodworks and just jump at the chance to do it. Unfortunately, that's not reality. A lot of people are interested when the cameras are rolling, and when they're not in front of a camera, then they forget about it. They're not interested. But I mean, I've been very, very fortunate to connect with a lot of really wonderful, special people that have stepped up and that I have photographed for the book. So I kind of what I try to do, and sometimes it is very difficult, is forget about the ones that don't want to take part, and just the ones that shoot it down, and just concentrate on the ones that are a part of it and that are genuine and want to be involved and want to help other people. It's very, very hard to find people like that in the world that we live in today. I really felt like when Robin Williams guide that it was going to change things, and people were going to be more willing. And when Chris Cornell and Chester Bennington, you know, and I worked with both of those guys, and you know, even recently, Anthony Bourdain and Spade, Kate Spade, I think that was her name. And I thought that was going to, you know, make it easier to get people involved. And it doesn't work like that, unfortunately. We do have Quincy Jones coming up. I spoke with Quincy about a month ago, I guess, and he wants to do a shoot for the book. He's going to do a shoot when he gets back from Europe in September. So that's really awesome. Looking forward to that. He's really can't get any bigger than he is. So is Michael Pare helping you out with that? Because I know I've seen a couple. Yeah. I know I've seen a couple pictures of you guys together doing some stuff. He is in it. He, as a matter of fact, I'll give you the link so you can put it up. But the auction that we're doing, we got probably about 30 people that are, you know, contributing to it. You know, you can have like a VIP experience with Cheech and Chong backstage in Reno, Nevada. You can have a dinner with the girl's name is Addie Miller. She's an actress that was the first zombie on The Walking Dead. There's a lesson from wrestling lesson from two of the original Glow girls. Oh. There's a surfing lesson from two of the ex-presidents from the original Point Break. I mean, there's a ton of stuff. There's lunch with Michael Pare, so you can have lunch with Michael. Oh wow, that'd be exciting. Yeah, so there you go. You could bid on it. You know, so there's a lot of things that you could bid on that you can come out and take part in. I mean, it's really a lot of really extraordinary stuff that people are doing, and they're stepping up to the plate so we can make, you know, the money to print the book. Books are incredibly expensive. I don't know what you know about them, but they are very, very, very expensive. Oh yeah. I get that too, because you want. I mean, this is a book. You know, you want to make it as good as you can, and you know, have you kind of decided I know you're probably in the early preparations of everything, but kind of like what you envision with this book. Yeah, we've got a vision in mind, and we're still plugging along. We've got, you know, probably till about the end of the year to finish it. And that's what I'm shooting for. No pun intended. Yeah, so that's what I'm going for. Okay. Oh, that's awesome. It's tons and tons of celebrities, and everyone involved is an advocate for spreading awareness to suicide prevention and substance abuse. And some people are sharing stories, maybe of personal stories, or maybe of stories of loved ones, stuff like that. But it's going to have a lot of really nice stuff in it. But it's not a book about suicide. It's about suicide. It's a book about happiness. Okay. So it is not about suicide. It's got it's going to have a lot of really cool stuff in it for sure. I don't want to give it away too much, but a lot of very interesting stuff. But we're doing this auction to raise money for it. I mean, just the printing of the book alone is around $25,000. So it's very, very expensive. If you want to have a really nice quality book, it costs a lot of money, you know? A lot of money. Now, is this going to be a book filled with lots of interesting pictures and stuff, and very detailed information, like most books are, or well, because what I'm saying is you know, will this book, without giving too much away, is it going to be one of those books where everything's going to be like in the middle of the book, all the cool pictures, or is it going to spread around a little bit? The whole book is going to be like visually stimulating. It's going to be photos from beginning to end. There'll be stories throughout, but it's a visually powerful book. It's all about images, and there'll be tons of them, and it'll range from headshots of actors to very, very cool creations and I think the overall this is the name of a book, so it's, technically we don't use it, but I kind of compare it to Crazy Sexy Cool.
Huh.
So that's basically a way of describing it, and that's the name of a really, really great book of Hollywood actors. But
awesome.
everything in it is a combination of those three elements.
Oh yeah, you got to have that. Sugar, spice, and everything nice.
Like it, so.
Oh yeah. I think I will too. We got to, definitely got to get you back on when it's done, and got to get a couple copies too. You got to say, when it is done, because I want to do some type of. I'd like to, anytime that somebody's promoting something, especially if it's a book, I always ask the author personally or whatever if they can send some copies. Mostly it's just for, I like to look at it, but then I want to share it around. I want to give it away for promotion or something. That's kind of the old school way of doing old radio. Nowadays they don't really do that as much. They've kind of shun away from, unless it's like an NPR thing or something like that. But a lot of times they've shun away from doing cool prizes. Like I don't know. Do you listen to much radio in your spare time?
Sometimes I do, like on the way to work or whatever, but not a lot. But I know what you mean. I mean, in the old days, they would give away stuff like that, and kind of bribe people to listen.
Yeah, be like the 20th caller or something like that.
Now, probably, right?
Well, I mean, here and there. I mean, because my budget's kind of not nearly as big as Michael Strider's budget. I tell you that much.
You're in trouble, brother.
I've been in trouble since day one, and yet I'm still around. I'm still trying to make it. But what I'm saying is that I mean the old school ways. I mean I kind of miss those days. And I'm not trying to too much dabble in the past, but it's like nowadays it's like things have changed so much, and with our station, like I always keep telling people without doing too much promotion that I try to be different. I try to offer more than what most of the stations don't offer. There's so many radio stations nowadays that strive on just top 40 music. Oh, we gotta play top 40. We gotta play top 40. We can't play anything deep or anything that nobody's ever heard of. We gotta play top 40 because that's what people want. That's what brings some money to the pockets. Well, here on Rapid Fire Radio, we do different. We have over 58,000 songs in our playlist or our library, and pretty much of everything that you've ever heard of, but also all the deep stuff that has been around for 30 or 40 years that nobody's ever heard of. All the stuff that's on albums that never get played, or or the bootleg stuff, or the live stuff, or or just original interviews that I've done, or Reb's done, or we've done together, and it's a nice little collab of a genuine entertainment. So we're trying to keep the old schoolness alive as much as we can here on Rapid Fire, and we I always appreciate you. I always have, and I wish I could have you on more. I wish you were so close. I wish we were so close. I always keep telling people, the people that I know the best are the people that don't even live around my area. If more of the people that I knew lived close by, I think even my life would be a little more glamorous than it is. It seems like, because of the people that have helped me, have been on the show and everything, like you and everybody else. So all the other over 300 people that have been on.
You should move. You should move to Los Angeles.
Oh yeah. I'll make sure that I get a place like that's $4,000 to $40,000 a month. A rent. Whatever. $500 cheeseburgers, and I don't know how you're able to do it, but I guess. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you put your mind to it, and you're able to do it. I mean, it's I love it out here. I mean, there are certain things that everybody hates. But, we all hate the traffic and stuff like that. But I mean, I really love it out here. I like it better than where I was in North Carolina.
Yeah, but
the weather is 1,000 times better.
Yeah, but North Carolina is still home to you though, because I keep seeing posts of you going home all the time, or talk about going home, or.
Yeah, that's where I'm from. That's always going to be home. But this is more. I think this place is just more me. It fits me and my personality a lot better.
Sure.
I think it's it's where I'm supposed to be.
So not to get too
I-
personal, but I want to ask because I've always been kind of curious because you live in
No problem.
you live in California and
Right.
and you live there for a while. Do you live in an apartment or do you live in a house?
I'm in an apartment.
Okay. I always kind of wonder about that because because I'm sure houses are pretty expensive too. But I mean, like, I'm just kind of wonder if you found enough success to where you could, have a house out in the vine or what is it, the wine country or something like that, or like some people are able to live in retirement or whatever. Oh yeah, we got a nice big 100-acre house, or lots of property, in the wine country or whatever.
Yeah, out here, if you have a house on 100 acres, you better have, $100 million. You're not going to get that kind of, you're not going to get that kind of place out here. I kind of want to be in the middle of everything, at least while I'm doing the book. So
Sure.
I live about, probably 15 minutes from Hollywood and 15 minutes from Malibu, and everything is right here where I am. So that's where I want to be. But I mean, it is the most people that have houses, I mean, unless they own the house, most people that live in houses out here, especially in this area or in the Hollywood area or whatever, they live in a house, but they are renting a room, like a bedroom. And
Sure.
I don't want to do that. So I have my own place, and
that's cool.
I have two cats named Elvis and Bodie.
Oh, jeez.
And it's the three of us, right now. So I want to get a puppy sometime soon.
Oh yeah. Well, that's really neat. And and with all the experiences that you had, I mean, it's just nice to know that you're still doing what you're doing, and that's a passionate thing because nowadays it's hard for people to, even the ones that go to school, even the ones that have gone to school. You can go to 50 years of college and still be lucky if you're able to get the job that you want. In today's world. I don't know why it was so much easier, years ago, but I don't,
Well, it's more, I mean, back in those days, I mean, people, you had to physically walk into a place to apply. Now, they won't allow you to do that. You have to apply online, and your resume is vetted through a computer system that, finds keywords and stuff like that. I mean, it's pretty sad from what it was to what it is now. It's a lot more difficult, but I mean, I always say that it's not what you know, it's who you know.
So let me ask you this last question before I let you go. Do you think that if you just started today, and with everything that you know right now, if you were just to start right now, do you think you'd have the same success that you've had?
Ooh.
See, that's
I like
a
to
tricky.
think that I would, but that's a good question. I like to think that I would. It's so much different than it was when I first got involved several years ago. There wasn't, obviously at that time, there wasn't as many people involved as there is now. I mean, at this point, you have 50 billion photographers in the country, and everybody else that's not an actual photographer has iPhones, and they consider themselves a photographer. So I don't know. I mean, in today's age, I think quality is not appreciated the way that it was back then. Now we're bombarded with so much stuff, online, like on Instagram and Facebook and stuff like that. More so Instagram, of just amazing pictures that somebody takes with their phone and literally just pushes a few buttons on an app, and it looks just out of this world amazing. It's something that years ago we would have had to have worked in Photoshop for hours to get an effect like that. Now anybody can do it with just a push of a button. And before that, I started doing this before there was Photoshop. I mean, we didn't even have computers, man.
Yeah.
So we just, I had to shoot film. I remember, shooting Kiss in 96, I guess it was. And in the course of 3 songs, which is, around 10 minutes or so, less than that probably, shooting about 10 rolls of film, 36 pictures. And so that was, with 3 cameras, I'm flying through film like it's nothing. And then you got to, when you get done with that, you got to take it to the lab and pay a ton of money to have the stuff processed. And at that point, you didn't know if the person processing your film was going to do a good job with it. They may not. So it's I love it much more today, but I don't think that people have to pay their dues today like we did, back in our days. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, that's
you couldn't look at a picture and then delete it.
Yeah, oh yeah.
At that time, if it sucked, you didn't know if it was bad until you got to the lab, and then it was too late at that point.
Well, let me ask you a question. You go back to the days of processing films. So why okay, when you would do a film process or whatever, why did you have to why did you have to have the lighting like red for example? Why did you have the red room, so to speak? And people don't know what the red room is. That's the film processing room or whatever.
The reason for it is because it would not, the red light would not expose the film like white lighting does. Oh. So you could have the film exposed in the red light because it was, I guess the best way to explain it is it was neutral, so it would not expose it. Now, if you pull a roll of film out and you pull the film actually out of the canister in anything other than darkness, complete darkness, it's going to be exposed and it's going to ruin your picture or whatever's on the film at that time. But yeah, the red was just neutral, and that way it would not expose it.
Okay.
It's always cool in movies to see that in movies, right?
Oh yeah. Well, nowadays everything's in high def and Blu-ray, 4K quality, whatever. So it's hard to even tell an imperfection, even with all the great resolution that we have. So.
Well, I tell you, I really miss the days of film movies, especially with old school movies like Texas Chainsaw Massacre or Friday the 13th, stuff like that. Those things were filmed on. That's real film. That's not digital.
Yeah,
you start adding digital into it, and it's not. It loses something that's very important. It loses the quality that it's supposed to have.
Well,
it's there to stay.
Did they do that with all the Star Wars films? Like they tried to digitize Yoda and all that stuff too, more or less, from the original tapes?
They did. They did. they went in and changed all kinds of stuff, and and I'm a fan of the digital age, and I appreciate it as much as everybody, as much as the next person. But there's just something that we had with film that we've lost.
Sure.
You just keep getting better and better and better and better. I mean, geez, some of this. I mean, I still like listening to like vinyl with the crackling and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that seems to.
I don't want to hear perfection.
And that seems to be the thing now. Vinyl's now it's more of a trendier thing than CDs now.
Yeah.
A lot of places don't sell CDs anymore.
There's so many. Oh God, this country is just so bad with jumping on the bandwagon. Here's this, here's that. Now this is popular. Now this is a big thing. Whatever. But if you truly like vinyl from the old days, it's not like it is today. I mean, you have all these. They're re-releasing all these albums from the old days with on perfect vinyl, and that stuff like pretty much every album that we had as a kid now is released on something that's perfect. I mean, it may as well be a CD.
Yeah.
So I think that's taken a whole lot from what we had in those days, and it's just something that I love, the old quality, the analog stuff,
Oh yeah.
Stuff like that.
I always wonder.
To me, it means a lot.
I always wonder if cassette will ever come back.
Well,
you never know.
An opportunity, I guess.
Yeah. And they'll charge you $100 a tape or whatever, probably.
God, I had set players and I had all that stuff. So it's,
oh, that's
it's
awesome.
pretty awesome. I still have some of the stuff, I didn't have like, what do you call it? I didn't have
A-track?
A-tracks. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're right.
I never did either. I never did either. I and don't get me wrong. I love MP3s. Spotify has been great.
Oh, I do too.
Spotify has been wonderful. I choose Spotify more than I do anything else, as far as music goes. Because that works for me.
Right. So, I mean, I've got my, music, my Amazon Music on my phone and stuff like that, which I love it.
Yeah.
I couldn't live without it. But, there are, I still don't think that it beats the original analog recordings of, some of the stuff.
Oh, absolutely.
Some of the old time music, like the Kiss songs and stuff like that. And, that's just my opinion.
Well, I tell you what, man, I definitely do appreciate this. You have definitely helped make my 12-year anniversary, which is literally today. That's why I made that announcement earlier on Facebook. It's today.
Well, happy anniversary, Frankie.
Well, thank you. I've been happily married for 12 years to this.
And it is a marriage, too.
Seems like it.
Life dedication to doing it, right?
Except this marriage will last as long as I want it to last, and it won't, I won't divorce myself from it,
You're damn right, brother. You just keep on rocking and rolling with it.
Well, you too, man. You too. And like I said, we gotta get you back on when you do your book and everything, and when it's officially out, and we'll have a big old. I tell you what, when you have your release party, let me know, and we'll make it even bigger. We'll try the best to get some.
You should come out for it. We're gonna have a red carpet and all that stuff, but it'll probably be in March or April of next year, something like that.
Well, I mean, who knows? I mean, I'm open to any idea. I just don't want it to cost me I don't have a big budget, like I say, so may need a little help on your part.
I'll send my private jet for you.
Good. You do that. And then we'll make the effort. God, maybe I'll just want to stay there. Maybe I won't even want to leave.
I can say that's a good possibility once you get out here from the Dakotas.
Well, I have a couple.
We got to get it done first.
I have a couple friends that I met online that do the YouTube thing that have lived there for a long time, and so if anything, I would try to connect with as many people as I could that that live over there. But anyway, I do appreciate having you on, and like I say, this has been great, and this just goes to show that, or this just tells me as a podcaster and wannabe radio guy, that I just, that this is still fun. 12 years later, this is still fun.
I always like talking to you, for sure.
Oh, I'm same here.
I always appreciate it. And have you got did you put the link up so people can go to the auction?
I actually have on the page here, or at least on the description anyway. I have it up here so people can check it out. It's CharityBuzz.com, and then all the other stuff afterwards /support/Life After Project. So they can click on it, and hopefully they will. And who knows,
Right.
Maybe somebody could be having lunch. Somebody could be having lunch with Michael Pare.
It runs through August the 2nd, so
okay.
You have until August the 2nd, and go bid on it. A lot of cool stuff that's on there, so go check it out, and check it out whenever you have a chance.
Oh, I will.
Like on your social media. We appreciate anything you can do with it, for sure.
Oh, absolutely. Well, I tell you what, man, I appreciate
the party. We got to have the funding.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, yes. So in the real world, of course, we gotta be business people too. So I get you.
You damn right, brother.
All right, man. Well, thank you very much for being a part of the show again here, Mike. And I love you, man. I really, really do.
Hey, you too, brother. I really appreciate it. So I will talk to you very soon, Frank.
All right, sounds good, man. Take care. All right, guys and gals, that was Michael Strider, who's an OG of the Frankie Slauson Show and the original Frankie Slauson Show from back 12 years ago when I was working at a little station called Pioneer 9.1, which is a college. A lot of people back home will know it's a college station back in Minnesota, and it was a volunteer place that I worked at as well, as that's where I learned to kind of hone this craft, so to speak. I don't know if I've ever honed it, but I mean, I've tried my best, and I appreciate each and every one of you guys for just being a part of this revolution, so to speak. I don't know, I try not to make a big deal about things, but it's kind of an accomplishment, tooting the old horn, well, toot toot, I guess. I think I deserve a little bit of a toot, and not the toots that I normally get, so to speak. Anyway, I appreciate Mike for being on, and we're going to be doing some more interviews here soon. I just kind of took a little bit of a break because, it's summertime. There's other things that I've been doing and other journeys that I've been wanting to explore. And so now that rally time's coming and I'm in the 78th annual Sturgis Rally, I'm not going to say who I have planned to come on the show because I don't want it to be where I'm saying it. And then if it don't happen, then it's like, because that's happened a few times where I've made promises and it's like, then things change. Well, I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to let the cards roll where they may, and whoever we get on, it can be a little, it could be a little entertainer. It could be a really big entertainer. After last year's experience, you just never know what could happen. So a lot of good things happened last year during the rally, and we had a lot of good entertainment on and a lot of good people on. So we appreciate every one of you, each and every one of you, and definitely check out the link below. It's down in the description below here, charitybuzz.com/support/the Life After Project, and help Mike's charity out, and because they really need the support. And not only that, but you get some great perks and all that. And who wouldn't want to have lunch with Michael Pare? Good Lord, I wonder how. I can only imagine being a fly on the wall, what that would be like. What would you talk about? Would you talk about? Well, I mean, what if you had the chance? What would you talk about with him? Eddie Wilson from Eddie and the Cruisers. I know I'd have a lot of questions, that's for sure. And it'd be a good time. I definitely would get him on the show, that's for sure. If that's my one way to get him on the show, I definitely would do it. Anyway, so I gotta get going, but I appreciate each and every one of you. Check back here very soon. We updated the logos and everything. Everything's getting an upgrade because I got some new software that I found online that gives me the ability to get a little bit more creative as I like to, and update the much needed updated logos. So everything's getting a major update. Everything that we've done, Frankie Sloss Show, Rapid Fire Radio, Black Hills Blues, and Red Riders Show as well, all getting a personal makeover courtesy of me. So this guy. Anyway, I'm Frankie Slauson, and I appreciate every one of you. I love each and every one of you, whether you've been a guest on the show or you've just been listening, following, whatever. I appreciate it. Keep on the support, and we'll see you next time for another great edition of Frankie Slauson's Show and the Icons of Pop Culture series as we continue Frankie's Icons of Pop Culture, because you never know what's going to happen next on Rapid Fire Radio. Bye-bye, everybody. Peace and love.